Hello, my name is Viktor Neustroyev, I'm a candidate master, and today I want to show you another chess etude. This is a study-like combination created by a composer from Russia, Aleksandr Zhukov. Look at this position. Of course, it's not easy to make a draw for white because two of his pieces are located in a distance. Of course, it's not easy to make a draw for white in this position because all of his pieces are located on the distance from each other. That's why black is likely to give a check and win one of these pieces, then get a winning position. Of course, it's quite difficult to win the position with the queen against the rook if the rook is quite close to the king, but it is considered to be a winning position anyway. Of course, in this position it is white to move, and here I want you to make a draw. You may pause this video and try to find how white can make a draw in this position. What does it mean? Of course, if white creates a perpetual check, it's a draw. The second thing is just to get the knight and the rook closer to the king so that there will be no checks with the enemy queen that can lead to winning one of these pieces. So get your pieces closer to the king, and they both should be protected, or at least the king should be located so close to them and be able to protect in case of the check by the queen. What do you think? How white should play here? What about a rook f3 move? It's a good try, but unfortunately this move doesn't work. King b4. Rook f4 check again. King goes to a3. Rook f3, king a2. Rook f2, king goes to b1. If, for example, in this position king goes to a1, then knight d6 leads to a draw. Because here, if for example queen a4 check, king goes to e1, then if something like queen b4, just rook d2 protecting the knight. So black can't win the knight. That's why in this position only king b1 works. And if knight d6 in this position, queen e4, where to move? What if now king goes to e1? Queen b4 check. Rook d2. But after this move, the king is too close to the rook, and black can just play king c1 and take the rook on the next move, or after knight a4 or knight c4 just take the knight and get a winning position. So it's quite important to get the king closer. If, for example, after this check he plays king to d2, then of course queen d4 winning the knight. The next move is king e2 in this position, but this move also doesn't work because of queen a6 check, and then black takes the knight. Looks like the idea with checks with rook doesn't work in this position. Let's try knight d6. Still queen e4 check. Of course, king c1 leads to a checkmate, or this checkmate. Here, white has only two options: king e2, which leads to queen c2 check, king f3, and queen d3, attacking the knight and the king simultaneously. If king e1 in this position, then queen h4 check, king e2, or for example king f1. If king f1, then queen goes here, then the king goes to the second rank, and queen h2, winning the knight on the next move. If, for example, in this position, rook f2, then black king comes to d3, then e3, and this is how black wins. Because if, for example, here king f1, then queen h1 is a checkmate. So that's not easy to get rid of this pin. But of course, at least queen e7 works in this position, because this move wins the knight. So king e2, then queen h2, winning the knight. Looks like none of these moves work. Knight d6 doesn't work, rook f3 no longer works. But knight c5 works. The knight goes closer to the rook. How to play for black in this position? Let's try queen e3. What do you think about this move? Looks like black wants to checkmate. At the same time, it attacks the knight in case if the rook moves. But in this position, white has a brilliant option. He plays rook f2. And the idea is that black can't take neither the rook nor the knight, because if he takes the knight, he gets rook c2. If he takes the rook, then knight e4. If, for example, queen d4 check, then that's fine, just go to c1. Again, none of these pieces is hanging. Queen e3 check, king goes back. If king b4 in this position, attacking the knight and the rook, then just simply rook c2. And that's a drawish position. White can just move the rook, c1, c2, and stay with his king where he is. If black continues checking, like queen g1, queen g2, and so on, just move the king. Black can't win in this position. Okay, let's go back. So looks like queen e3 doesn't work. What about king c4? If so, then king d2. How to play for black now? Let's try queen c8. This move attacks both the rook and the knight. What do you think? How white can play in such a case? Again, white uses the fact that the king and the queen can be located on the same file. He plays rook f3, and if now black takes on c5 with the queen or with the king, then rook c3. If king takes on c5, then when black loses the game. After queen c5, it's a draw. Oh, in this position, after the rook goes to c3, it is likely to be a draw because both pieces are quite close to the king. What if queen g6? If so, then we again play this move, knight e4. The idea of the move there is that if now queen takes rook, then knight d6 is a fork and a draw. King d4 is taking the knight. How would you play in this position? Looks like two pieces are hanging and we can't move the knight to protect the rook. But we can move the rook, protecting the knight. What if now king attacks them both? Then just rook h4. Of course, in this position, black can do some checks, like queen g2, but he can't attack the rook, and the knight is protected by the rook. At the same time, the king is quite close to the knight, so king e3 or king e2, something like this, and then knight f2, and the rook is also quite close. Okay, what if, for example, queen g2, immediate check in this position? Then just simply knight f2. The rook protects the knight. That's fine. If it's a check, by the way. If now king goes to e5, then we can play rook e4, rook e2. Or even maybe rook e4 and king e3. That's much better. And everything, every white piece is protected. So it's likely to be a draw. Let's try queen h6 here, because this is how he creates a pin. How would you play as white in this position? Looks like there is only one move. It's knight g5, blocking the pin, at the same time giving a check to the king. King d5, for example. Rook f5 check. Well, if king e5, then just knight f7. And after black takes the rook with the king, he loses the queen, and that's a draw. But after this move, rook f5 check, and he can't go to d6 in this position because of knight f7. If king goes to c6, for example, then just king e3, white king comes closer, and on the next move he protects both of his pieces. If king d4, then let's just repeat the position. If king c4, rook f4, again, if he goes to the 5th rank, we check with rook f5, but if king goes to b3, we go back to f5, and then play this position, which is likely to be a draw because the king is too far, while the white king is quite close. Okay, let's go back. So you see, knight c5 is the best move. This only move leads to a draw. And the main idea is that every time he takes one of our pieces, we give a check with the other one and win the queen. That's the main idea of this chess etude. Okay, I hope you liked it, and I'm going to publish a new one very soon. Please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment if you see that one of the sides could play better in this combination. Thank you for your attention.